and continues for years to come and builds upon the things that truly make Ohio the heart of it all. The things that make Ohio the heart of it all are first and foremost our families, our children, our students, our workforce, our businesses, and our communities. First, our budget helps children and families. Our children are our future. Our families are the foundation of that very future. We must provide families with the help that they need to raise their children in an environment that ensures they have every opportunity in life to reach their God-given potential. One area where our families need help right now is with the cost of child care. So let me talk for a moment about that. Quality child care does two very important things. One, it helps our children learn. Helps them learn and grow so they're prepared to excel when they start kindergarten. Two, it helps our parents to be confident that they can go to work, and they can be confident that their children will be well taken care of and that their children will learn while they are at work. But unfortunately, for too many working families, balancing work and child care has become very difficult. It's no secret that the cost of child care has increased in recent years, especially with our rising inflation across the country. Today, for a family with 2 children in child care, on average, the first $11 of every hour worked by the parent is being used to cover child care expenses. Faced with the financial reality, more parents are forced to forego job opportunities. In a recent survey of working parents with young children in Ohio, nearly half say they have reduced their work hours to care for their children. This is not, of course, just a family problem. It is also a workforce problem, and it's an economic problem. During our administration, we've helped more working families get the financial support they need to access quality child care. Last year, we launched a new child care choice voucher program to support working families up to 200% of the federal poverty level. Through this effort, we are currently providing financial support to allow thousands more families to access child care. An overwhelming majority of parents involved in this program tell us that it's helped them take on more hours either at work or for them going to school. And so today I'm happy to say that our new budget will allow us to continue this effort, continue providing child care support at this level for working parents, as well as those pursuing their education. This continued investment will not only help build Ohio's workforce, but it will also allow us to continue our efforts to strengthen families. Let me talk about the second issue. In our previous budgets, we have focused on making Ohio the best place in the nation to raise a family. We will continue to do just that with this budget. We want people in Ohio to have the freedom to grow their families the way that they would like to. Yet a survey of young parents shows that more than 1/3 are having serious problems paying their rent or paying their mortgage. This reality has led to more of our young families feeling financially constrained. We want to liberate people to be able to create the family of their dreams. And we want to support young children and their parents to give them the best start in life. This is why our budget contains a child tax credit to support working parents and families. In this budget, we provide a tax credit that will provide parents up to $1,000 per year for each child through the age of 6. $1,000 per year for each child through the age of 6. Let me move to home visiting. Further, our budget includes funding to expand high-quality home visiting programs statewide. Home visiting is a program that encourages early prenatal and well baby care and also provides parenting education. We've been growing this in each of our budgets. We found that families who enroll in home visiting are 60% less likely for their baby to die before its first birthday. And so we're going to expand the reach with this program by supporting 25,000 more families each year, from 10,000 families will grow to 35,000 families annually. Our budget also increases support of pregnancy centers, social service organizations, nonprofits, and ministries that serve as critical resources for moms and for families. Adoption. We will continue to support parents who are looking to start or expand their families through adoption. We'll do this by continuing to provide one-time payments to adoptive parents to help offset adoption-related costs. Grants are awarded to parents who adopt with additional incentives for fostering or adopting children who have special needs. We will continue that program. Now let's talk about children and education. One of the most impactful things we can do to put our kids on the best trajectory for success is to put books in their hands and introduce them to the wonders of reading. Reading is simply the key to everything. It's the key to success in school. It's the key to success in life. My wife Fran has worked very hard to expand the Dolly Parton Imagination Library throughout the state of Ohio. This program will continue to be supported by this budget, as well as being supported by help from citizens in each county in the state of Ohio. And I want to thank all the people in every county who have rallied behind this program, and I want to thank the legislature for providing the state money as well. The Imagination Library mails a child one age-appropriate book each month until a child's 5th birthday at no cost to the family. Today, more than 400,000 Ohio children are enrolled in this program. Let me now turn to the science of reading. 2 years ago, I asked the General Assembly to support our initiative to make sure that all students in Ohio are being taught to read using the method that we know works the best, and that is the science of reading. This work is underway, and this work continues. Teachers all across Ohio are teaching reading skills using curriculum aligned to the science of reading. We're moving in the right direction, but change takes time, and we need to continue our focus on improving literacy across the state of Ohio. That's why this budget continues to support literacy coaches in schools and districts and requires schools with low rates of proficient readers to focus more of their dollars on literacy supports when students are falling behind. But for children to be able to read at their best, they need to be able to see. They need to be able to see clearly. Experts tell us that 80% of a child's learning comes through their sense of sight. Yet tragically, too many Ohio children who need glasses never receive them, and as a result, they fall behind in school. School-aged children in the state of Ohio are required to receive vision screenings, but shockingly, only 26% of the students who need additional vision care, whether that be a comprehensive eye exam or glasses, actually receive it, leaving tens of thousands of our Ohio children behind. That is wrong. This budget will start to correct that. We're going to solve this problem by creating the new Ohio C program. This program will ensure that all students in kindergarten through 3rd grade who fail vision screening at their school do in fact then receive comprehensive eyeglasses, eye exams, and if needed, eyeglasses. This program will target kids at an age when vision is critical to learning. We anticipate that through Ohio C, more than 33,000 children will be served throughout Ohio over the biennium. School-based health centers. Just as children need to be able to see well to read, they also need to be healthy to learn, which is exactly why we've continued in this budget to invest in school-based health centers across the state of Ohio. These health centers offer a variety of health and wellness services right on school grounds, allowing students to get the help they need right at school. Studies tell us that these centers positively impact academic performance in multiple ways, including improved attendance, higher grade point averages, better college preparation, and more. This budget continues to expand the number of school-based health centers in high-need counties and provides resources and technical support to schools when schools want to create these on their own. Another thing that we know about education is that school leaders matter. The building principle is key. A strong school principal is the key to improving results, and that's why our budget establishes what we are calling the Ohio Principal Apprenticeship Program. This program will prepare and develop individuals who are eager to embrace the challenges of school leadership. By allowing aspiring principals to train with veteran principals, this program will put more leaders in our schools. School bus safety. We have a responsibility to make sure that children are able to travel to school safely. Last year, we created and we tasked the Ohio School Bus Safety Working Group with developing recommendations to keep these children who are going to school every day safer. Our budget invests $34 million over the biennium to fund these recommendations. We do this through a new school bus safety grant program, and we do it through increased bus driver training. Now let me turn to driver training. We also need to help ensure that as our teenagers get older, they're safe while driving on Ohio's roads. Unfortunately, current driving training programs are simply out of reach for many Ohio families. The training is either too expensive or it's not very close. In fact, some counties have no driver training option in the entire county. All this causes many high school students to miss out on valuable opportunities to get a job, an internship, or other work-based learning experiences when they're still in school. Further, many teens who can't get driver's training wait to get their license until they're 18, the age at which this training is no longer required. This is especially troubling because over the past 5 years, we have seen, when we look at the data, significantly more 18, 19-year-old drivers were involved in fatal crashes, and more of those 18 and 19 than the 16 and 17-year-olds. Many of these students these new drivers never get any driver's training at all. We have to start taking action, and through our budget, we will do that. Let me say very clearly, it is now time to put driver's training back in our high schools. This needs to be done. Schools are the logical and most accessible places for teens to learn how to drive. Our budget helps schools partner with independent driving training academies or allows them to start their own driver training program to make this training affordable for families and bring it directly to the students. Finally, our budget also includes $23.4 billion over the biennium to support students, educators, schools, and districts with increased funding in the K-12 school funding formula and school choice programs. This plan includes a phase-in of the final 2 years of the General Assembly's school funding plan and also allows us to phase out the funding of empty desks in schools that are having decreasing enrollment. We do this by reducing funding guarantees. Ohio is providing record funding for our students. We're proud to be offering students and families more choices than ever in terms of how they receive their education. Ohio has a long history of supporting parents and supporting choices made by parents regarding the education of their children. This budget continues this effort by supporting students, whether they enroll in a traditional public school district, a community school, STEM school, a career center, or in a private school using a state scholarship. Our commitment to education will pay dividends by making sure Ohio's next generation is ready to excel in whatever they set their minds to after graduation. But a key component for each one of these students is to have a plan. That's why I have directed Steve Dakin, I've directed Ohio's K-12 and higher education leaders all to work together to prioritize career planning for our students. We're going to give students more opportunities to learn about the in-demand careers available to them right here in Ohio, while opening doors to the education or training they need to turn their dreams into reality. Let me now talk about the top 5% of our students who graduate from high school every year. For students who see college as their pathway, it's important to expose them to all the great colleges and universities that we have right here in the state of Ohio. The Governor's Merit Scholarship Program, which was started in the previous budget, was a key priority in that budget and will remain an important part of this budget. This scholarship will continue to encourage Ohio's best and brightest students to stay in the state of Ohio and go to college here. We do that by providing $5,000 scholarships to every student in the top 5% of their high school graduating class who chooses to attend an Ohio college or university, not just for the first year, but for all 4 years, $5,000 per year. This scholarship opportunity has been so far incredibly popular. Ohio's high school class of 2024 included 6,200 eligible students. That was the top 5% of the class. Over 3/4 of those students accepted the scholarship and are now attending Ohio colleges and universities. Normally, we would expect that number to be about 60%. That means, thanks to the Merit Scholarship, almost 1,000 more of our top students are now going to college in the state of Ohio. And we would expect that to continue year after year. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. These kids will much more likely then stay in Ohio, get a job in Ohio, and be Ohio citizens and be productive members of society. We're also building on the success of the Merit Scholarship Program, this top 5%, by guaranteeing admission to each one of these top 5% kids in their graduating class. They will be guaranteed admission to the main campus of every state college or university in Ohio. All our public schools, they will be guaranteed admission to the main campus of those schools. At the same time, we will make it easier for all Ohio high school students to know where they will be admitted to college in state through our new direct admission initiative. This program will let high school students know, based on simple criteria such as grade point average or SAT, ACT scores, the list of Ohio colleges and universities where they will be admitted. Students will no longer need to apply to participating schools and wait for an answer. All they will need to do is simply register and enroll in the college that they choose. We talk about need-based scholarships. Beyond the Merit Scholarship, we remain focused on making college more affordable for all students. Our budget includes continued support for the Ohio College Opportunity Grant, which provides financial support for students who have the highest level of financial need. And also, the Choose Ohio First Scholarship will continue to provide support for students in STEM-related fields, including health professions, as well as those studying to be STEM teachers. Finally, we want to ensure that our colleges and universities are laser-focused on making sure their students are graduating ready to launch their careers and contribute to our workforce. Today, the amount of state funding colleges receive is determined by the number of students completing courses, certificates, and degrees. It's time to take the next step forward. And that next step is by funding colleges based on whether graduates are gainfully employed after graduation. That will become one of the factors. Our budget does exactly that, making Ohio the first state, we believe, in the nation to tie a significant portion of funding for colleges and universities to whether their graduates are in fact getting jobs. Our work to ensure Ohioans are ready to thrive in the economy of tomorrow doesn't stop with college graduates. We're continuing to support the Tech Cred program in this budget, making it possible for Ohioans to learn new skills, earn in-demand credentials that lead to well-paying jobs, and help businesses build a stronger workforce. Now let me turn to one of the things that sometimes holds people back, and that is people who have a mental health challenge. Since taking office, my administration has worked alongside this General Assembly, and I thank them for the help, investing the necessary resources to make Ohio a national leader in addressing the mental health crisis. This budget continues to expand our commitment to increase access to mental health services directly in our communities, building the system of care that was promised beginning in the 1960s, but was truly never fully delivered. We will also continue to expand our strong partnership among healthcare providers, law enforcement, and our judges. In the past couple of years, we've begun to see real progress. Since taking office, with the help of this legislature, we have opened Ohio's first new state psychiatric hospital in nearly a decade, with plans to build more of them in the coming years. We've received more than 440,000 calls, texts, and chats to Ohio's 988 Crisis and Suicide Lifeline. That's more than 18,000 communications each and every month. We've served nearly 16,000 youth and families through new mobile crisis services. We've attracted more than 2,100 behavioral health professionals into the field through our Great Minds program. We've helped construct or expand 11 pediatric behavioral health facilities, which served more than 100,000 youth just last year alone. We've launched 26 new psychiatric residential treatment beds, a specialized facility for youth with complex behavioral health needs. Prior to 2024, this service did not even exist in Ohio. We've constructed 26 new crisis facilities and 4 behavioral health urgent cares. We've added 87 specialized court dockets that are helping now more than 36,000 participants to achieve recovery. We partnered with Hazel Health to serve 160,000 youth in underserved communities with behavioral health telehealth services. And we've treated nearly 50,000 men and women with substance use disorders in Ohio's 28 prisons. We are beginning to see the results of all this work, but we must continue this work, and this budget continues it. After years of steady increases, in 2023, we saw unintentional overdose deaths decline by nearly 10%. Suicide deaths dropped by 1%. Both numbers falling faster than the national average, but we must do more, and this budget does more. Our interventions are working. We still have much to do. Let me talk about our communities, where the services are delivered. It's important for us to help our communities deal with drug trafficking and violent crimes. Overdose deaths in Ohio are dropping thanks in part to the work of state and local law enforcement. I want to thank them for that work. To help our local drug task forces, who do a great job, we will continue to support these drug task forces in this budget. Second, the Ohio Narcotics Intelligence Center, which we created and established in 2019, continues to do critical work to support local law enforcement in investigating violent crimes. Public safety depends on highly trained law enforcement officers. This budget continues our support for this training and will also create a new state-of-the-art scenario-based training facilities in Ohio. Making Ohio's communities safer requires more reliability and efficient emergency services. Our budget plan continues to cover most of the local cost of the standard service for the Multi-Agency Radio Communication System, MARCS. This funding will ensure that the cost of monthly fees will no longer prevent our first responders from joining this critical network. MARCS provides state-of-the-art wireless digital communication, allowing approximately 2,500 public safety and public service agencies to easily communicate and coordinate responses. In addition, our budget proposal will complete the $46 million infrastructure for Next Generation 911. This will save lives. Next Generation 911 makes emergency services more efficient, including the ability to text 911 operators. Next Generation 911 reduces call transfers, makes major improvements to pinpoint precise geolocations. Every second counts in saving lives. These necessary upgrades save precious time in the most critical times. Supporting the brave men and women who volunteer to respond in times of crisis is critical to helping our local communities. Our budget plan supports Ohio's volunteer firefighters by waiving fees at the State Fire Marshal's Fire Academy and continuing equipment and training grants to these local departments. Because Ohio is a day's drive from 60% of the U.S. population, our roads are critical to our economy and critical to the nation's economy. Our transportation budget, though, also laser focuses on safety. and provides for an investment of $380 million over the biennium for targeted safety upgrades to Ohio's roadways. Community safety also means that we must be vigilant in protecting our crucial infrastructure systems. Our budget invests $8 million of the biennium to support cybersecurity for local governments and critical public water infrastructure. As Ohio continues to attract new businesses and industries, making sure members of our workforce have places to live and raise their families is central to our continued growth and success. Therefore, this budget invests $100 million over the biennium in the infrastructure needed to increase available single and multifamily housing for rural communities, particularly rural communities along our borders, where economic development is driving increased demand. We're also planning to expand our historic rehabilitation tax credits by doubling the amount of credits that may be authorized each year from $60 million to $120 million. We have seen the good work that this program has done. I've seen it all over the state of Ohio. This change will allow us to help preserve more of Ohio's historic buildings, more of our downtowns, while investing in the future of these local communities. Through our proposed operating budget, we're also taking this program to the next level by establishing an historic rehabilitation tax credit for owner-occupied residences. This credit will help revive Ohio's historic neighborhoods by assisting homeowners with the cost of preserving their historic homes. Supporting our local communities is vital. This budget invests in the state's partnership with local government and libraries by increasing the share of state revenue devoted to the local government fund and public library fund. The budget provides more than $60 million in additional new funds during the fiscal year 2026 biennium by boosting the percentage share for each fund from the current 1.7% of state tax revenue to a proposed 1.75. This amount is in addition to the $2.1 billion already expected under this budget to be distributed to these two separate funds during the biennium. So that would be more than $1 billion for libraries and more than $1 billion for the local government fund. Investing in clean water is investing in Ohio's future. Our unique abundance of water makes our state an ideal location for economic growth and prosperity. That's why our budget proposal includes continued funding for H2 Ohio. We must make sure our precious resources, our most precious resource, our water, is clean and healthy for current and future generations. Since launching H2 Ohio, we've learned a lot about the complexities of nutrient management and water quality. We know some wetlands perform better than others. We know some farming practices are more impactful on certain farmlands. And we know the problems impacting Ohio's waterways developed over many decades and will take many years to totally correct. But all of this motivates us to continue what needs to be done. This budget does that. H2 Ohio will continue adapting and taking the right steps by creating high-performing wetlands throughout the state, educating and encouraging farmers to follow best practices that we know will reduce nutrients going into fields, and fixing broken and outdated water infrastructure to bring clean drinking water to communities across the state of Ohio. As we work to build strong Ohio communities, we know that leisure time activities contribute to our state's outstanding quality of life. When I talk to employers making a choice on whether to locate in the state of Ohio, they always ask about the quality of life. They ask about recreation opportunities. We tell them. We tell them about our 76 state parks. We tell them about our great theater, our arts. We tell them about our symphonies and our concerts, and also includes our museums, and also includes professional sports. For decades, the state of Ohio has participated in funding construction of Ohio pro sports stadiums. Many Ohio professional sports facilities are approaching an age at which they either need to be replaced or need to be renovated. That's why this budget creates a permanent solution for requests of the state to help fund these stadiums. And it does so without using general fund dollars. Our budget proposes adjusting the sports gaming tax and creating the Sports Facilities Construction and Sports Education Fund so that it will no longer be necessary to use general fund tax dollars for this purpose. What can the money be used for? This fund, once enacted, can be used to help fund professional sports facilities for both major and minor leagues. Also, the proposal allows the fund to support youth sports education. It can, for example, be used to help offset the cost of sports and school activity fees that prevent many Ohio children from playing youth sports or participating in other school-based extracurricular activities. So not just sports, but other things. And I might say, I was with Senator Husted today, and one of the things that he has advocated for some time and been very concerned about is our young children who can't play sports, who can't play activities because their family can't come up with the extra money to pay that school requires them to pay. This money can certainly be used for that and many other purposes in regard to our young people. So it is basically to deal with stadiums, but it's also to deal with our young people. This budget is guided by the same core values that have guided us in our 3 previous budgets. Our goal for all Ohioans is to allow them to live up to their God-given potential, to have the opportunity to achieve whatever their version is of the American dream. We do that by focusing on children and families, jobs in our workforce, and on strengthening our communities so Ohioans can thrive. These are the components that are critical for economic growth and long-term success, and these are the focus of our budget. Happy to answer any questions.
Governor, you mentioned the child tax credit. Are you open to deeper tax cuts if the legislature should put them in?
Well, let me explain on the child tax credit how that will be paid for. And again, this will be totally paid for, not by general fund dollars. This will be paid by an increase in the cigarette tax of about $1.50. This will enable us to take that money and invest it in these families. It's time we did that. This is not a liberal or conservative proposal. You have seen, I think, if you've read, very thoughtful people across this country, left and right, who have said, we must invest in these working families. We must give them this opportunity. And so this will be a significant amount of money, and it will help these families. Help these families move forward with their lives, however they want to live those lives. And so I'm frankly very, very excited about it. And I want the legislature to take a look at this, and I certainly hope they pass it.
As for the other tax cuts, would you be open to other tax cuts?
Well, I think we have to, let me answer it this way. I've been governor for 6 years. And I've been involved, Lieutenant Governor Husted, former Lieutenant Governor Husted, and I have been involved in talking to many, many companies about coming to Ohio. There is not one company that has said to us, we can't come to Ohio because your taxes are too high. We've been able to cut taxes now, working with the legislature over a number of years. We are now extremely competitive. Our biggest challenge is to making sure we have the workforce that can take these jobs that we are fast creating in the state of Ohio. So our focus needs to be investing in our people, and that's what this budget does. We're doing this extra with the families, giving them support. We're not taking it from the general fund. We're not taking money away from mental health or something else, or education. We're able to create this additional funds, and I think that's, this is a very, very strong budget for families, and it's a budget that recognizes where we are in being competitive with other states. We're very competitive. our key is to make sure we continue to have the workforce, so when companies come in here, we have the answer to them when they look me in the eye and say, do you have enough PhDs in chemistry, or do you have enough people who have this particular talent? And our answer always needs to be, yes, we do, and we're ready to go.
Can you explain specifically with the adjustment to the sports gambling tax, how is that going to work?
Sports gaming, yes, we're going to raise the tax on it.
How much are you?
Our proposal, we would raise it to 40%. This would mean that Ohio still is certainly not the highest. We wouldn't be the lowest, but we would not be the highest. Look, Ohio citizens are giving every single day millions of dollars to the sports gaming companies. It's time for us to raise the tax on them so that we can do things to help Ohioans. This proposal that I've outlined has the added benefit of no longer will we have to, at any time in the future, go to the people of the state of Ohio and say your tax dollars will go for this stadium or that stadium. Look, I believe that our professional sports in Ohio are very valuable to us. I think it's part of our quality of life. But this gives us an opportunity not to have to take general fund dollars away from education or something else, and to be able to actually fund these in the future. Plus, we're going to be able to help our young people be healthier, participate in sports. So I think it's a win-win-win.
Governor, do you think that this tax, if implemented, would directly result in a $600 million in direct state aid for a Brown Stadium? And who would be in charge of determining whether that is approved?
So we would have a group that would be put together, a commission that would be put together. The way we have it provided in here, I would make some appointments, the legislature would make some appointments, minority in the legislature would make appointments, and this group would then take the language that we have here, but would also be able to expand that and be more specific about how that money could be spent. So, it could be many, many ways for youth sports. I mean, whole series of things that you could imagine. In regard to stadiums, look, they would look at the economic benefit to the state. They would look at all the different public policy factors in determining how much money they would see invested. The way we have written it in here, the state could not put more than, state share would always be capped at 40%. Wouldn't have to be that much, but it would be capped at that, and then the local group, this group that we put together would make that decision. In answer to your question, could a proposal like that be funded? It could be, certainly could be.
Do you have any estimates on how much that tax increase would actually produce a year?
Yeah, it brings in 130 to 180 million a year. And we would not touch the current tax. In other words, the money from the current tax, where it goes for education, we would not touch that at all. So this would be new. It would be new money. It would come from the gaming facilities in the state of Ohio that are getting millions and millions of dollars from Ohio players, every single week. And it seems to me it's a very logical approach to do this.
A couple weeks ago, you told me that you weren't sure about fully funding public education because we are going to have less money in the budget for the next 2 years. First question is, what changed? And second, what did we end up cutting then?
We have, in all three of my previous budgets, we have put a focus on things that we thought were the most important. So if you remember, we asked the legislature to create in my first budget a wellness chunk of money. We've got, as you heard me talk about in here, other chunks of money that are going for school bus safety. We are putting, significant money in coaches so that we can make the transformation over to the science of reading. In my other three budgets and in this budget, we know going in that the legislature is going to, both houses have real interest in what that formula is. And so we didn't really change much of the formula, knowing that. I think the main thing that we did is we said, look, it's time that schools that continue to lose students, that we not be funding empty desks, that we not be funding phantom students. And so we start down the road to not eliminate, but we start down the road to take down the guarantee. So that's probably the most significant thing in what we have proposed to the state legislature.
Governor, what changes are in the Medicaid portion of the budget? Any changes to eligibility or rates for providers?
Kim, you want to do anything on that?
Sure.
Kim Mernix, as you know, Budget Director.
Budget Director, good afternoon. The Medicaid budget is obviously the most significant all-funds portion of the state budget, and we did significantly increase provider rates in our most recent budget. This budget funds those provider rates with continued funding. We do a few things to contain Medicaid costs. First of all, if you know about Medicaid, you know that it's a very complicated system with actuarial forecasts and different levels of forecasting. We have utilized the lower bound forecast so that, is ensuring that we keep costs low. And we also are implementing the Medicaid work requirements. So that is included in the budget, and that does reduce all funds spending on the Medicaid program. So those are a few things that we're doing, but we are continuing to fund the provider rates that were in the most recent budget.
For the K-12 formula, what fiscal year's data is used for the cost inputs?
The data inputs are remaining at the fiscal year 22 data inputs.
Anybody else?
Any progress of running lieutenant governor?
I'm sorry?
Any progress in appointing lieutenant governor?
Yeah,
Any timetable for that?
progress. No, soon though. Fairly soon. How's that? Little qualification there.
We've been hearing about a lot of agencies and businesses requiring their employees to be back in the office full-time. Is that something your office is currently considering for state employees?
Yes,
And is there a timetable for that?
we're working on that.
Governor, you talked about the transportation budget. Could you give us an idea where things stand in terms of rail development in the state? You had study commissions in the last one, as well as some of these, you talked about the safety corps. Are we talking 23 there? Is that?
So in our first budget, I asked the director and Kim to set aside money for safety projects. And every project, I suppose, on the highways are safety projects. But what I was talking about is my experience has been that local communities always come forward and say, look, if we could just fix this stretch of road or this curve, or we could fix that, we would save lives. And so we've really focused on that. I think we've done it more than probably any other state in doing that. So that was the safety that I was particularly talking about. Let me mention something else that shortly we will be presenting the study, the results of the study that have been done. At that point, we will have a discussion about where we are with that, and discussion about where the money is, what we can do, what we can't do. I know there's a lot of people that want a lot of things done. That's always the way it is in regard to roads. And we could talk about, you mentioned 23 going up north. Well, it's also 23 south that it probably needs some things. And you can do Route 30 over in eastern Ohio. And so everybody's got something that they ask us about. And so what we will do, once we have this study, we will make this study available. We'll do a press conference. We'll talk about all the things that we already have in progress. We'll talk about the things that the study recommends that we should do.
Are you talking rail?
I'll get to rail. Sorry, I'll get back to rail. I would give you the big picture. I'll let Kim give you the real. And then we'll have that discussion because it'll be time to have that discussion. Kim, you want to talk about real?
Sure, Governor. In our last budget, there was significant one-time funding to match federal funding to do rail crossing upgrades all around the state. Those funds are still being spent and will likely be spent over the next several fiscal years. The rail development funding that is always in the state's general fund budget, that will continue.
On the higher education portion, you talked about graduates being gainfully employed and funding being tied to that. Can you talk about
Yeah.
how much funding is tied to that? What is gainfully
Yeah,
employed?
so I'll start and then Kim can finish it. We've been talking to the universities for some time about measuring this, and I know many of them are now measuring this. If you think about it historically, when I went to college, what did we talk about? We talk about how many students were going, I guess, something like that. Then at some point we talked about the graduates. Under the Kasich administration, started really focusing on graduates, and we just think the next logical step is what happens after graduation? Where are they? And so that will be one of the factors that goes into the formula.
Sure. We're talking about the SSI formula, state share of instruction. It's more than $2 billion a year goes to our colleges and universities. And as the governor explained, we're going to include this new data set. It's a fairly new data set. It's a national data set where we can see where students are, how they're employed at 1 year, 5 years post-graduation, and we are going to incorporate that data into the formula so that it can drive some of the funding when we kind of divvy up that money from taxpayers to our colleges and universities. So it's going to be a component of how we allocate the dollars.
What percentage?
I believe it's $100 million a year, so it starts out, fairly modest piece of the overall state share of instruction. Over time, as we see how this works, I think that could continue to expand. And as the governor said in his remarks, Ohio has the most outcomes-oriented higher education funding formula already, and this just takes it to that next step. So you're not just looking at course completion, you're looking at our kids getting jobs.
And we think this, frankly, matches what families want, parents want, what students want. They want to know what they're getting for their money, and this enables us to quantify that in some way. We don't jump into it. We don't jump in the pool and make everything dependent on that. But we start easing in, and I think the more our colleges and universities get used to this, they're certainly going to be able to track these students, and they're going to be able to give this data, and it's helpful data for them as well.
How will President Donald Trump's tariffs impact the Ohio consumer?
I don't know.
Are you worried?
Look, this thing is changing as we speak. When I went to East Palestine this morning, I saw the news, and then we saw what Mexico did. So, I'm not gonna.
They fought the Canadian tariffs during this press conference, Governor.
Well, see. What can I say?
Expect to have a state budget at all in negotiations over that?
Well, look, I think it depends on what happens. We don't know what's going to happen with that. Look, the United States, two major trading partners. We have in Ohio a big trading partner in Canada, a big trading partner in Mexico. And those are the facts. So, anybody else?
You had an extended tax holiday that most Ohioans didn't really take advantage of. Did your budget make any changes to the tax holiday?
No, we didn't make any changes really in that.
Discontinue it.
Pardon me?
We discontinue it and go back to the 3-day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kim.
We are discontinuing that expanded sales tax holiday. As you said, most Ohioans did not take advantage of it. It didn't really drive much change in consumer behavior. And so what we are planning to do is go back to the traditional 3-day back-to-school sales tax holiday that has worked well for many years for Ohio.
So maybe that'll have a bigger punch. I don't know. We'll see.
Is there anything on cannabis taxes in this budget?
Yeah, we basically adopt what the agreement was under the Senate bill, whatever it was. there was an agreement, basically, you all seen it, you've all written about it. We sort of mirror that, what it was last year. It didn't pass, I mean, it obviously didn't go into law, but.
Lawmakers are proposing right now that everything, all tax revenue go to the general revenue fund from cannabis. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that is going to evolve. I think that will evolve. I don't think that will stay there.
Is the whole bill that was passed last time, is that what's in the budget, or just the tax?
It's a whole bill, we didn't put the whole bill in.
What you'll see when we post the budget documents here in a little bit is we do increase the tax. We also generally follow that Senate passed plan for how to allocate the funds. So there's funding for county jails, there's funding for police training, there's funding for the 988 line, there's funding for mental health, there's funding for health. So it does generally follow that structure that was passed. It does not move the dollars into the general fund. It keeps them in that separate fund, but for those purposes.
It was basically the increase that we had an
It's the
agreement on.
20%.
It's the same agreement we had, 20. You know? So it's nothing really new there. But.
You talked about mental health. Is there any update to the state psychiatric hospital that was intended for Dayton? And is there any funding in this current budget?
I don't, that would normally come in a capital budget, and we would expect it to be in my last capital budget next year, so that'll be a preview, it's coming. They're in the process now of locating a place, a site, so I don't really have any update on that. So,
That's the update.
yeah.
There's been a lot of talk leading up to this budget rollout that this was going to be a leaner budget. Is the solution raising taxes in some of these scenarios, raising the sports gambling tax, raising the excise tax on cannabis? And how do you think that's going to go with a legislature that is, raising this idea of tax cuts in other areas?
Well, I think you have to look. I think you have to look at each one. I mean, for example, if you look at the child credit we're creating, it's totally funded by just the increase in the cigarette tax. You have to look at that. Which would you rather have? It seems to me that's a thing that makes a lot of sense as far as public health, and it also makes sense as far as families and the support families need. If you look at the other one that we talked about, and that is the gaming commission. Look, I mean, these sports gaming are extremely aggressive. Maybe it's just because I watch sports, but they're in your face, all the time. They are getting Ohioans to lose massive amounts of money every year. And it seems to me only just and fair that some of the stadiums be paid for by them, or a portion of it. And it seems also fair that our young people who, they are targeting will get some benefit by being able to play sports. These are the companies that are taking all this money draining it outside the state of Ohio on gaming. They ought to pay their fair share, and this would make them pay their fair share. They will still have plenty of money to make.
Director, how big is the general fund budget, and how big is the all funds budget?
Sure. The general revenue fund tax revenues grow about 4% from 25 to 26, and about 3.4% from 26 to 27. The general fund, GRF only general fund, our most flexible, is currently projected to be $30 billion in 2026, and that's about a 2.4% increase over 2025, and $30.9 billion in 2027, and that's about a 2.8% over 26. The all funds budget, that's the general fund, that's all the federal funding, that's all the fee-based revenue, all told is about $108 billion in 26 and $110 in 27.
Do you have the percentage of increases on that?
Yes, increase of about 2.9% from 25 to 26 on the all funds budget, and about 1.9% from 26 to 27 on the all funds.
We got time for one more question.
Can we talk about the lean aspect of the budget? And she didn't get a question, so she can have one after me, so don't worry. So we had 108 and what was it, 107? That's more than what we had the past budget. So how was
Look,
this
I think if you go back and look at what I told you, as you said, and what I told everyone else, is that we should look at this coming budget, this budget, as a budget that goes back to normal. That we had a lot of federal dollars coming in. Those federal dollars are not coming in anymore. And so this is a more normal budget with a more normal rate of growth. And I think that's frankly a better way to describe it than lean. If I use the term lean, that probably was not the most accurate. We tried to be obviously very, very careful. We just refer to this as a normal budget. Somebody had a question, I'm sorry, yeah.
You said you were gonna reduce the guarantee, are you completely cutting it, or is it like a 50% reduction?
I missed the first part, what'd you say?
You're going to reduce the guarantee?
School funding.
Are you completely cutting
No,
it?
no. It's just, it starts easing it down a little bit.
It's,
90,
you want me to?
yeah, just tell them, give them the numbers, yeah.
Sure. It is going to be, instead of 100%, which is currently, it will be 95% in 26 and then 90% in 27. So very modest reductions on the guarantee.
And again, look, this is an area, as you know, where the legislature will do many, many things between now and when this bill finally gets this desk and I sign it, so. This is a starting point with that.
Governor DeWine, wondering if you want to share your thoughts on the proposal last week that came out tying state funds going to abortions to abolishing the death penalty?
All I know is what I read in the paper. I don't really have an opinion about that. No, yeah.
Governor, this is your final budget, presumably as governor. When crafting this budget, were you thinking about your legacy, or did that play into it at all, that this is your final budget plan?
Well, I think about the same things I've been thinking about, and that is that, we try to do a budget that is a budget for the future of the state. So I don't know if it's so much my legacy. I worry more about my kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids. And so it's a budget for our kids. And I think it's a very, very good budget for our kids. And I think it's consistent with what we've done in the past. I think, again, with the child tax credit, it's something that it's time. It really is time. I mean, I just see struggling families all over the state of Ohio. And, they just need some help. And this is a little help that we can give them. And I think it's something we really need to do. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it.